Hi, my name is Nathan. I go by Peteparker on Marvel Database, which is marvel.wikia.com, and this is another of my weekly comic book reviews, this time for Age of X Universe number 1. I'm coming to you from my man cave filled with comics out in the garage, and every week I review some comics. Because if I can buy them if I review them. That's the deal at my house. So here we go. In case you don't know about the Age of X universe, it is a heretofore unknown universe, alternate universe, where mostly the X-Men and mutants in general are hunted down to the point of extinction. There's only a handful of them left, and they're all hanging out in one fortress called Fortress X, built by Magneto. And they're constantly attacked by the outside, and every day they battle off the outside world to keep alive, basically. So Age of X Universe, which is this one, is the first book in this story arc, series, saga, whatever you want to call it, that actually takes place or shows outside of the mutants or X-Men's perspective. In the first story, you get the perspective of Captain America leading his team of Avengers, which includes the Hulk, Iron Man, Redback, I think Spider-Woman is called, Susan Storm, Ghost Rider, and I think that's it, actually. Yes, that is it. So they're all interesting versions of their alternate universe characters, of the main universe characters. Bruce Banner was developing a bomb to sterilize mutants, and he had some volunteers around. One of them freaked out and set off the bomb early and caused him to become the Hulk, and so he hates mutants ever since then because they caused him to become a deformity and caused him to be kind of a mutant. Captain America is just following the orders of his chain of command and understand he's been fighting mutants forever, ever since their inception back in the day, or not their inception, but their discovery, I guess. Iron Man is somehow kind of like a half zombie, half machine. He feels like he's a corpse of steel instead of an Iron Man, which they didn't fully explain. They said it was a virus probably caused by a mutant or something like that, but it's sketchy at best. It seems like another plug for a zombie type thing, but who knows. Susan Storm, you might know from the early solicits or the little cards that Marvel sent out, a preview for the Age of X, sold out her family. Her family, as the Fantastic Four back in the day, were harboring mutants, trying to keep them safe from being hunted down and put into internment camps. And one of these mutants went crazy, that I believe it's Wolfsbane, and accidentally bit her kids or attacked her kids or something like that. So she turned in her whole family for amnesty from the program and now works with the Avengers while her family are in jail, I think. Either in jail or dead. They don't tell really the backstory for Spider-Woman or Redback, and they don't tell the backstory for Ghost Rider, but it's presumably fairly similar to the alternate story. But they do mention, interestingly enough, Nick Fury's Secret Warriors team, which is a really good book in the main universe that's been taking place for over 2 years now, that I've really been reading a lot extremely lately, so I thought that was kind of cool. Although it's a different team, it's I guess it's a bunch of people who inherited or who just got powers without being a mutant, so interesting. But it was only mentioned. There's a lot of cameos like that with different types of mutants you might recognize, and that's part of the fun of the whole Age of X saga, is if you have been reading comics for a little while and you kind of know some of the more prominent figures in X-Men's lives especially, then throughout these books they scatter little alternate versions of characters that you might not recognize at first, but upon second glance you can tell who they are. Pretty interesting altogether. The other interesting aspect of the whole series is to see how if the world had started a different way, if the world had instantly hated and feared mutants beyond what we're normally used to, how would all of these characters really develop over time? How would Captain America handle it? How would, for instance, the Hulk handle it? So that's an interesting aspect too. Some of the art isn't really great, and I think it's more of the choices than the actual artwork itself. They happen to use Sabretooth as kind of a bloodhound to find mutants, and there he is right there. For some reason, his lower jaw has been turned into two metal hooks that come up to his nose. So I can understand the reasoning of taking off his taking off his jaw, right? Make him less dangerous or whatever, torture him or whatever. But replacing them with giant hooks that come up to the middle of the nose and are huge, while that looks really weird and maybe menacing, it serves no function whatsoever. Why? I don't see the point of that. And maybe there's some X-Men history that I don't know about that explains that, but it was really off-putting. And then, he has to talk through that hole and stuff. It's kind of gross altogether. And then, of course, the Hulk's weird, and, the zombie-ishness of Iron Man is weird too. He keeps speaking half in computer and half in real terms, which reminds me a lot of Deathlock, but I don't think that's what they were going for. But I don't know if this was bad art or not. If you can see the Hulk's face, his eyes right there are crazy. So is he supposed to be crazy? Are his eyes messed up? Or is that just a misplacement of the pupil? I don't know, but it looks really gross, I guess. And maybe that's what they're going for. Maybe, I've said gross a couple times now. Maybe that's what the whole thing was about. Let's see. It was written by Simon Spurrier and penciled by Khoi Pham. The first story was, so maybe that's what Mr. Pham was going for in those kind of gross, kind of weird, kind of off-putting images. So I don't know. The second story I liked more than the first story. It actually features Spider-Man in this universe and how he's changed. Apparently, eventually, everybody gets tired or moves beyond the fear of general mutants, and they're afraid of anybody who develops powers at any point and their offspring. So they go after Spider-Man generally, and the whole story is about him trying to get his wife, Mary Jane, out of the country while he's being attacked. And it doesn't tell you exactly what happens, but it's inferred that he probably died or was captured at the end, and she got away. So, but that was pretty good, and that art was done by, that was actually written by Jim McCain, and the art was done by Paul Davidson, colored by Antonio Fabela. So, if you are liking the Age of X series, then you may like this. If you like alternate universe versions of stuff and you're following all of the Age of X series, then you'll like this. If you're following Age of X just because it has X-Men and stuff like that, or mutants, and it's really X-Men centered, then you can skip this. You don't really need to know anything that's happening in here. It's all the external world, and it's not great. It's okay. I'll probably get all of the Age of X stuff just because I like the Age of X and I like to see how these characters are different regardless of who they are. But this is definitely not as good as the X-Men Age of X stuff that's happening in X-Men Legacy and New Mutants. X-Men Legacy is the one that's the really good one. So if you're looking on something to skip, you can go ahead and skip this. Until next time, that's it for me. Thanks for tuning in.